everyone, and welcome to the Surviving UX podcast. If you were curious about how two middle aged women feel about their UX careers, well, you've come to the right place. Meg, how are you doing today?
I'm hanging in there, Jessamine, as always.
Awesome.
I've
Yeah.
learned some new fun things about the medical field again, and
Mm.
I'm chugging along
Yeah.
through this phase.
Still enjoying your spa treatments at the radioactivity
Oh,
spa?
no, not quite. No, because it's I think as I mentioned last episode, it's like underground and dark and cold and basically a dungeon, or maybe you could equate it to a like you being on a UFO
Yeah,
and
that
like
sounds
aliens or yeah.
yikes.
Yeah, no,
Need an interior designer in their stat.
my favorite part is when they have written on me in Sharpie pen,
Hmm.
and don't really like tell me like
What?
yeah, no, I've never been asked like, is it okay if we write on you with a Sharpie pen? Have
Isn't that
not been
something
asked
people
that.
do like when people are drunk and they pass out and then people write on their face?
Yeah, that is, a little bit of what it feels like. Feels like I'm not really there to them.
Yikes.
So, yeah. How about
Oof.
you? How about you? What's the latest?
You're giving me flashbacks to getting an IV during my delivery, which I was like, please don't put that needle in my arm. Um I am good. We are dealing with a lot this week at work, and I have all the emotional baggage and scarring to show for it.
Yeah.
So I'm going to talk about it a little bit. I'm not going to get into the detail, but I'm going to talk about the feelings.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of feelings. There's a lot of feelings there when you deal with big changes, I think, and I am feeling them. And so
Yeah.
are other people in my orbit, which I realized I am, I think, guilty of like dumping on people a little bit and then stressing them out. And I'm
Mm.
like, ooh, I think I need to stop like sharing, sharing so much.
So what
Yeah.
are, what's the tenor of these big changes?
So we have policy changes going
Oof.
on.
Mm-hmm.
We have
Mm-hmm.
organizational changes going on. We have personnel changes going on. There's a lot of changes going on. And I mean, I'll put it this way. Like one thing I realized is that I'm a little bit of a sucker for like having someone paint a very pretty picture of my future
Mm-hmm.
and be like, wow, that's appealing. That's really cool. I want to get there. So I'll do all this work and it'll count for something, right? It counts. Every time I do something and I knock out another project or I answer a question or I tackle feedback or whatever, like it counts. It means something because one day I'm going to be in this, better, higher position, more prestige,
Mm-hmm.
I'll be head bitch in charge,
Your product will
and
be doing well.
yeah, a
Everybody will be
success,
happy. Yeah.
success story. Anyway, and then if, there's something that breaks that vision or takes that vision away, or the person that helped you build and create that vision is no longer around,
Mm-hmm.
you think, am I enough? Can I execute this vision by myself without this other person's, influence and support and mentorship?
Mm-hmm.
Or, can I do it just me? Like, because I've been sort of like told like that I could do it, and I was like, nah, I
Mm-hmm.
can't. I can't be like more senior or more, you know, I don't know. Like think about like the upper echelons, right, of design leadership. Like when you think about the top, like where is the top that your UX career could take you? Like what are the top levels that you think of? Like what's the most highest level of leadership you've ever seen
Mm-hmm.
somewhere that you've been? I mean,
I don't,
maybe
yeah, I
VP?
don't, I,
Yeah.
yeah, a VP, maybe.
Yeah.
but it's not often or every time,
Yeah.
you know, I guess what I'm trying to say is like that role at that high level like comes in and out of vogue or in and out of fashion,
Yeah.
and so like sometimes it'll be there and sometimes it won't be there and that kind of a thing. um
Like a chief design officer
yeah,
or yeah, something like that, design director,
yeah.
right? Like, so I'm like, well, anyway, long story short, like, could could I do that one day? Could I see myself doing that? Do I have what it takes to do something like that? Could I, if I were that person today, how would I act at work? What would
Mhm.
it be? What would be different for me?
We might not
Like,
be able to have this podcast. That's one.
this would be a very, it would be a sponsored podcast. But yeah, I just, so I am grieving, like basically I'm grieving some changes at work.
Yeah.
I'm grieving the loss of some mentors that I've had and some people who were believers in me, you
Hmm.
know,
Hmm.
and feeling like, oh, am I going to get that back? Will
Hmm.
I find another person who believes in me the way that this person did? And I'm just like, oh, it makes me tear up, honestly. Like I've had some tearful moments this week at work. But,
Yeah,
yeah.
I think, and something that's really salient for me that I think is along the same lines is this concept of having to start over. And
Mm-hmm.
maybe I didn't think that at this stage or where you're at in your career, like the feeling of having to start over again. And I feel that very strongly right now that I'm going to be going back to work and starting over again,
Starting over. Yeah.
and maybe that's just the the characteristics of our jobs, like us, like the core characteristic of our jobs, because if even if you stay at one place for a long time, people are like leadership roles are coming in and out, and then if you're not, you're the one moving to different places and having to start over. So I think this career really relies heavily a lot on a willingness to accept
Mm.
the that starting over
Yes. God, that is
motion
so true.
that seems
It
to happen
is.
over and over.
Tech is brutal, right? Tech is brutal. And like change can happen so fast. And, you can get blindsided. Like, oh, the everything you thought was how it was, that's gone now. And there's a new sheriff in town, or there's a new rule that,
Hmm.
suddenly you're in violation of.
Hmm.
And it's very like, it's like, whoa. And the other thing is that I've also realized, like, when I think about, am I replaceable? Could somebody hire another designer? Sure, they could
Hmm.
hire another designer real quick. And will they care if that designer is senior, junior, mid-level? Will they know what to look for? Will they, or they just think like, just get a designer in here, it doesn't matter? You know, I
Well, I think
think,
it does cost the business, and I'm not talking about any particular business and not specifically yours, but like I do think it costs the business to try to find someone new, especially who doesn't have domain knowledge. Wouldn't you think
yeah,
that's true?
I will say this, like, I think I'm like, my skills, my hard skills, like using Figma, making mock-ups, turning requirements into mock-ups or whatever
Hmm.
designs,
Pretty pictures.
presenting, yeah, like, and then also like the writing aspect, like there's a lot of writing, I think, in UX. There's a lot of writing UX labels, text, descriptions, help content,
Hmm.
and then also the critiquing skills, like being able to look at something and be like, how can we make this easier? How can we make it simpler? How can we make it better? Like
Do you
those
think?
skills, I think, like, I think other people could do them, right? Like I know other people have those skills and probably better than me in some ways, right? Like, let's be real. I'm probably not the most talented, visual designer or interaction designer there ever was. But I think the thing that I do have is like the like the personality, I guess, like the collaboration style, the
The soft
communication
skills.
style, the soft skills. I feel like that's what I have that I bring to the table that, I feel like are my strengths. And I can, if a team is a little bit dysfunctional, I can bring in like some warmth, some humor, some personality, and like get to know people.
Hmm.
Like, I don't know. And I guess what I'm thinking is that uh, like, am I'm going through like very deep questioning right now, honestly. Like, am I in the right place?
Hmm.
Is this like how much sacrifice is this my current situation worth? Or would it actually be better for me to think about another situation, a better situation, a different situation? Would it be good for me to experience some change or to face my fears? One of the things that come up for me lately is seeing my ultimate fear in LinkedIn posts, which
Mm.
I don't know if you've noticed these, but because of the times that we're in and the layoffs and the tech layoffs and things, I have seen some extremely desperate LinkedIn posts that are like, week 39 of unemployment.
Mm.
I have to date done, 8,000 interviews and,
Mm.
20,000 phone calls and gotten ghosted by 36 recruiters, and I am desperate. Do you know of anything, anyone, anywhere? And one post I read was like, I got laid off and I'm looking and I decided to buy a restaurant. And long story short, the restaurant is like sucking all of my savings and is barely like breaking even. And it said like the restaurant is probably going to make it, but I won't. I need a job. And I was like, whoa, what a move to be unemployed and be like, I'm going to buy this restaurant.
Yeah, restaurants are famously known for
Oh,
never closing and being wildly
oh
successful.
my God. And I was just like, ah, yeah, yeah. And I thought that's what that desperation of like I've put in so much effort and I'm not getting any return. I'm like, ooh, like I don't want to go there. I don't want to do
Hmm.
that. But then I'm like, is my fear of that keeping me somewhere that I don't like, you know what I mean, isn't the best fit? Could I find something different? So I've been having a lot of deep thoughts and deep questioning about like, should I stick with the program, keep my
Hmm.
nose to the grindstone? There's a future
Hmm.
in front of me. I can become somebody. Or should I be like, you know what? I'm nobody anyway. I don't count. I don't matter to the big enterprise or whatever. And why don't I just find something that is even better suited to me, even though I do feel like my current role is very, very suited to me in a lot of
Hmm.
ways. And I do enjoy and love it very much. And I feel like I eat, sleep, and breathe it, honestly.
Hmm.
But
Hmm.
I could eat, sleep, and breathe, something else too, I guess, and I
Yeah.
could start over and it wouldn't be the end of the world. But anyway, like I am having like a lot of deep feelings and a lot of sleepless nights right
Mm.
now because of all this stuff going on.
When I was in a role where there was just a lot of change, and as a side note about change, at one point in this tumultuous organizations like history, they even brought in like a workshop that everyone was supposed to go to, that was like accepting change, like that was the title of it, as if they like were like, we're going to provide this workshop for you, we're going to really change and uphold it, like do crazy upheaval on your lives and your work lives, but you're just going to go to this workshop and you're going to learn how to, like, I don't know, breathe deeply or something,
Whoa.
and you're going to be fine. But so
Wow.
side note on that, but I feel like when I had those moments, I I would just write it out until the next thing, because I was like,
Yeah.
well, this change, I don't know how this change is going to turn out. Maybe it could be better for me. Maybe, maybe,
Mm.
maybe things will get better. Like things aren't so bad that I'm not willing to wait this out. And the final thing that did it for me was I told my, like, I gave myself an ultimatum, and I said, if this, I said, like, if this particular thing happens that I know in the past has made me unhappy, before, and was met with like a lot of hardship on my part in terms of like continuing the work and investing in the work, being able to like get to work and be interested in doing the work. um I was like, I know that when this happens, like that's the final straw. And sure enough, it finally did happen. And I said, I straight said to the person who was informing me of this change, I said, that's it. I'm
Oh,
like this is the change that is going to have me um moving on. And
wow. Oh my
and
God. I can't even imagine having the courage to have a conversation like
well, I might have not have been that direct.
that.
I might have been like, are you sure, like, are we sure that this is a done deal? Because like this type of change could really, could really make me think about moving on. So maybe I should have couched it a little bit in that. But anyway, my point of sharing this with you and listeners is that I think it's fine to continue to push yourself at the company that you're at. And then it might, just, there's nothing wrong with, seeing what's next, in my opinion, because that is the safe thing to do. It is the thing that's not going to cause you to have, real heightened anxiety and potentially make you buy a restaurant, which is a terrible idea.
Oh my
Um,
God. I love the idea of buying a restaurant, by the way, because I've always
Jessamine,
dreamed about it. Okay, here's what it's going to be called.
what's it going to be
It would
called?
be called Jess's Lunch because one time I was out in the mountains in Virginia and there I was in some college town and there was a little cafe called Jess's Lunch. And I was like, what? And I thought, oh my God, what a dream. Like, what a dream life to have like a cool little cafe. And I'm sure like this is utter naivete talking, but I was like, I could serve all the foods that I love. Like decaf coffee and grilled cheese and chocolate pudding. But anyway, yeah. I mean, I totally when he said that, I was like, "Oh my God," because I was like he followed a dream. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? He followed a dream and now it's biting him in the butt. Oh,
Oh, I don't know.
my heart went out to him.
I could never do that because I need way more like assurances that, or what is it called? Like things for a rainy day, like when you can't, I don't know. I need more of that, the safety
Yeah,
type stuff.
stability. Yeah, stability, consistency.
Yeah. I do agree
Exactly.
with you that I think that, and I maybe I've mentioned it here before, that LinkedIn really feels toxic to me. I think it's maybe my personality.
Uh-huh.
But
Yeah.
I drop in every once in a while and take a look. And it's just really hard not to measure yourself against other people. Um, in a space like that. I don't know. I think maybe
Yeah.
I need to have a different outlook to really embrace LinkedIn and have it serve me
That's
instead
very
of not just bum
interesting.
me out.
I do remind myself that like LinkedIn is social media, just like Facebook, Instagram. It's
Hmm.
just another social media, but with a flavored twist of it's, quote, professional.
Hmm.
But it's just like the scrolling, the posting, it's got all the same, things. There's really nothing physically different about it. It's just that someone said, this is for work. And so I remind myself, you're basically looking at Facebook right now, Jessamine. Like, get off here. Stop wasting your own time. I mean, gosh, I've clicked through some really dumb stuff on there, but yeah, I guess like bottom line is that fear factor of like, facing that unknown or that
Hmm.
uncertain thing. It's definitely two-faced for me because part of me does crave change and I do like changing things up and new opportunity. Like I got junk mail the other day that was like UX opportunity or something. And I was like, "Ooh." Like my first reaction was like, "Ooh, this is cool. What's this?" And it was spam. It was like, "Come take a survey and get a gift card." And I was like, "Jessamine, like, oh my God, like you really fell for that word opportunity." And then my
Yeah.
next thought was like, "How can I use this on someone else if I want them to do something?"
I want to say that I thought you meant physical mail for a majority of your story.
Oh, no, just sorry, email, email,
No,
email.
I think most people would have imagined it was email, but
Oh my God.
a physical piece of junk mail that said UX opportunity on it.
That
Wow, that's
would be
pretty
even
old school.
cooler. We got somebody else's catalog today by mistake, and we were like, "Ooh," and we like
Yeah.
tore it open like a Christmas present. We're like, "Look at this, look at that."
Sometimes I
And
get my neighbor's mail, and one of their catalogs has a coupon on the back of it. So, yeah,
oh, did you rip off their coupon?
I I did. I sure did. Um,
Oh
all
boy.
right. Well, what other topics do we
Okay,
have for
so
today?
here
What else is going on with you?
I want to paint a picture for you, Meg, of my new life, which
Uh-huh.
is having to go into an office. This is something all employees have been asked to do is to report to their nearest office and start badging in. So I've been badging in, and I am not currently meeting the minimum requirement of 3 days a week. I am doing 1 day a week.
Mm-hmm.
And this is why. So yesterday I took the train from Williamsburg up to Alexandria, Virginia, and the train leaves Williamsburg at 6 a.m.,
Good
6:01
Lord.
to be precise. So I set my alarm. I did really good, I thought. I cleaned off my desk. I got my backpack out. I put everything in my backpack. I had the backpack ready. And so I thought, okay, I should be good waking up at 5 because the last time I went, I woke up at like 4:30, or maybe it was 4. It was either 4 or 4:30. And I told somebody about that. And I was like, yeah, I woke up at 4 or 4:30 to catch the 6 o'clock train. They're like, why did you wake up at 4? And I was like, I don't know. I guess I just take a long time. And I felt kind of embarrassed about it. So I was like, okay, maybe I'm taking too long. I'm wasting too much time. I should wake up later. So I was like, I'll wake up at 5. So I set my alarm for 5. I went to bed, with the baby at like 9:45. So I was like, I'm doing good. This
Mm-hmm.
is pretty good. So of course, the night before you travel, right? I still have that like pre-travel, like toss and turn thing. So
Mm-hmm.
I finally get some sleep. My phone goes off at 5 a.m. I hit the button, snooze, and go back to sleep.
Uh,
And then thank God, it goes off again at like 5:20. And I'm like,
uh-huh.
whoa, okay. So I run in here to the office and I pump because I'm like, I gotta pump a bottle before I go. Because
Mm-hmm.
if I don't pump, it's gonna be a real fun day for me
Yeah.
walking around with all this. So I'm like, I gotta pump. So I pump. By that time, I mean, I'm sitting down to pump. It's like 5:20. And by the time I'm done, it's like 5:40.
Yeah.
I'm in my nightgown and I'm dirty. I have not showered. And I'm like, shit, because last time I also took a shower. And that's one of the things that ate up so much time.
Uh-huh.
So I was like, okay, I guess I don't have time to shower. And I was like, man, I really need a shower, but it's not going to happen. If I do a shower, I will miss the train. And last time I ran after the train, I flew into the parking lot. Anyway, so I'm like, okay, okay, just get dressed, And so this time I did not put on any makeup, any jewelry. I just put on deodorant and clean clothes
Mm-hmm.
and grabbed my backpack. And then as I was walking out the door, I was like, I gotta get something to eat or else I'm gonna be miserable. So I
Mm-hmm.
ran around the kitchen, grabbed some food.
Went to Jess's lunch.
I wish. And got in the car and I turned the ignition and the clock says 5:52. And I'm like, damn it. Because I was like, I knew I needed to leave earlier. Like, what's wrong with me? Why can't I get myself out the door on time? So I fly downtown to get to the train station. And then my worst nightmare, which is they have parking at the train station, but half the lot was walled off for construction. So
Oh.
half the parking spaces that were there last time were literally demolished and were sand, and the parking lot was full. So I'm
Oh.
like, oh God. And it's like 5:59. And I'm like, my heart is like beating. And the train is in the station. And so I drive to another parking lot next door, and it's like behind the fire station, it says firefighter employee parking. And I'm like, oh, great. A bunch of firefighters, trucks. So I pull in, I grab my bag, I leave my lunch and my water bottle on the floor of the car,
Oh.
and I get out of the car and I start running. And I'm like far enough away from the train station that I'm not even like on a sidewalk. I'm running through like gravel and grass, and I'm like, huffing and puffing, and the conductors are standing outside the train with a little, step stool that you use to get on, and they're
Uh-huh.
watching me, and I'm like, thank you, please, like, have mercy on me, because they probably saw my car screaming into the lot, and they're like, hold up, there's something. And so I run, I huff and puff, and they give me the look, and I'm like, thank you so much, and I get on the train, and then the train leaves, and I'm like, oh, thank God I got on the train. And the train starts to move, and I look out the window at my car, and
Uh-huh.
my lights are on. And I'm
Oh.
like, oh my God, no. So I scramble in my backpack, and I grab my keys, and I grab the key fob, and I point it out the window, and I'm like, beep, 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 beep. And the lights don't turn off. And
So
I'm
your
like,
car's unlocked?
oh. I don't know what was wrong, but the lights were still on. So I'm like, here we go. So then I was like, I have only one option, and that's to text my husband. It's 6:01 a.m. He is fast asleep. And I start texting. I'm like, honey, I'm so sorry. I'm parked in an employee parking lot. The lights are on in the car. I need you to come downtown and repark the car and turn off the lights. And I'm calling him. I start calling. He doesn't pick up. He doesn't answer the text. I'm like, honey, please. And I'm like panicking. And I'm telling myself, don't panic. Don't panic. What's the worst that can happen? I get a ticket. The car battery dies. It's not the end of the world. But I'm like, come on, come on. So I just keep texting and texting. An hour later, he's like, oh my God. Because he sees like 10 missed calls and like a huge text chain, and he's like, okay, all right, I'm on it. So he grabs the baby, he drives downtown, he leaves the girls asleep in their beds, and he finds the car, or he calls me. He's like, where is the car? And I'm like, it's in the firefighter parking lot. Like, keep going. So he's like wandering around with the baby, looking for the car. He finds the car, he reparks it. Thank you, God. And he said, your seatbelt was caught in the door. The door of the car didn't close. That's why the lights were still on. And I was like, all I could say was like, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. And I was just like, what a morning this has been.
Oh.
And it was just brutal. It was just a brutal way to start the morning, you know? And so
Yeah.
that was my morning. That was my morning yesterday, or yeah, yesterday morning.
Oh.
Oh, yeah. There's more, but I will spare you. Basically, it was a very long day. It was a very long day.
And what time do you get back in on the train that comes back home?
You leave at 4 and you get home at like 7:45. And
Mm.
and then yeah, so I'm home around 8 p.m.
And do you work on the train? Do you have to?
I did
Hmm.
work on the train. I did some calls. And I usually try to avoid it because I'm like, this is gonna be bad. But I had meetings where I was sitting in the Alexandria train station trying to listen in on like a call. I had one call, I was sitting on the platform with like some very senior people, and everyone's got their cameras on. So I'm like, great, I guess I have to turn my camera on too. And
Hmm.
like the announcements are shouting out over the loudspeaker. So I'm just on mute. I have hands over both ears because the squeal of the trains, coming in and out, the commuter rail is just coming in and out, and
Hmm.
I'm like, oh, like, and then the conductors, they do like verbal announcements. They literally get on the platform and shout at you. It's old school, and they're like, track 3, and you're like, ah. And I'm like, oh my God. So they're like, any questions from anyone? And I'm just like, no.
Shut it down.
Oh my God. It was so crazy. And then somebody pinged me while I was on the train. They're like, "Can you meet?" I'm like, "No." And they're like, "Well, we've got to meet. It's urgent." And I'm like, "Oh my God. Okay, but I'm on Amtrak." So I had like two calls yesterday on Amtrak. And of course, they were like video on calls. And I'm just like, "Oh my God." Like, I part of me was like, I want you to see what your policies,
Yeah.
you know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
Like, I'm traveling, I'm commuting right now. I'm not sitting at home. I'm commuting. So here it is.
Yeah.
But it was intense. It was intense. Yeah. So it was a day. So I was glad to just work from home today and sort of be like, keep it chill. But
Yeah. Maybe get a shower, that kind of
my
thing.
actually, that hasn't happened yet either. I still haven't
Well,
showered. Oh
Well, I
God.
don't know if you can hear or if our listeners can hear, but I think some very loud construction just started around where I am right now. So
Mm,
maybe it's high time we wrap this one up.
yes.
But Justman, I wanted to say one thing before we left, which is that it's the second anniversary of our podcast.
Oh my
So
gosh.
congratulations to us. Yay.
Yes.
We
I can't
published our
believe it.
first one in at the end of July of 2021, and I actually was doing the math and I thought it was 3 years ago, but it wasn't. It was only two.
Well, it was three. We're on our third
Third,
summer.
well,
We're on our
yes,
third
our
summer.
third
Yeah.
summer. Wait, yeah, our
Yes.
third summer, but our second anniversary of when we
Yeah.
started. So a quick fire question. Anything you think you know now that you should have, that you would have wanted to tell yourself back then?
Well, I've done a lot of talking, Meg, so I actually want to throw this question back to you.
Well, I wrote it, so I clearly had something in mind. And I don't
Yes.
think I have anything all that interesting, but it would have been super helpful to know that all these, all the tech layoffs would have happened, and inflation would have been so freaking crazy. That's what
Mm,
I think I would have told myself, is like, be real thankful and have a lot more gratitude
mm,
for the employment that you have. Um, so
yes.
that would be that one. That one was mine, but I guess we can never really predict the future. So we just all have to hope for more good things coming in the next 2 years? Question mark.
Yeah. 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 Think of yourself as the director of design of your job.
Of my job. Yes.
Yeah. Think of yourself as head director. If you were head director, what would you do? What would you do? Because you basically are, everybody is. Everybody is
Mhm.
director in charge of their thing. So
Mhm.
act like it, be the head bitch in charge. That's my that's my advice to my past self. You're in
Wonderful.
charge. Yeah.
Awesome.
All right, Meg. Well, folks, if you need any advice or sympathy for your UX career, write to us at survivingux@gmail.com. Take
Thanks,
care.
everyone. Surviving UX is hosted and edited by Jessamine Edwards and Meg Kramer. Our theme music is, among other things, the on-hold music for Cisco phones, Opus Number 1 by Tim Carlton and Derek Deal. Next time you're on your long commute, we encourage you to just say no to any work calls. And hey, instead, chill out to a great podcast.